Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to our latest DevTest Community Webcast, and thank you so much for joining. Today we're going to be covering using Selenium with DevTest 9.5. Giving the presentation today is Daniel Mazet. He's the Associate Engineering Services Architect for the DevTest product. I'm now going to turn it over to Daniel. Take it away, Daniel.
Hi everyone, and thanks for joining. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about using DevTest with Selenium. So DevTest supports integration with Selenium thanks to these specific test cases, test steps that we have. And it's a step type that lets you import these recordings, these web-based recordings, really test cases, from Selenium Builder, which is a plugin for Firefox, into DevTest. So it's a third-party integration, a way to get your test cases into DevTest to manipulate. So after you import them, what you can do is you can run them in Firefox, Chrome, Safari IE, just like any other test case in DevTest. You can run them in a local or remote browser, and it demonstrates the ease of use of the solution, really. So we'll walk through the process of installing Firefox, Selenium Builder, the DevTest plugin, editing the test case after we record it, and then executing it. Okay. So again, the process, pretty straightforward. We install the Selenium Builder plugin. Then we'll install the CA AppTest plugin for Selenium. It's really a plugin for a plugin, and we'll come to that later. We'll create a recording in Firefox. Selenium only supports recording in Firefox, so that's why we're using Firefox, but we can play back in any other browser. We'll export the recording from Selenium Builder from Firefox. We'll import it into DevTest. We'll manipulate it in DevTest. We can also install a browser driver so that we can play it in different browsers. We'll go over that as well. And then we'll run the test. Pretty straightforward. So Selenium, what is Selenium, right? It's an open source tool to record and play back test cases, specifically for web applications, and it really makes it easier if you're not familiar with any scripting languages, although you can edit them as a scripting language, and we'll see that too. But it makes it so it's really GUI oriented, which is very nice. And Selenium and DevTest, what do they have in common? Why do we link them together? Well, it allows you to quickly and easily create the test cases and import them into DevTest. You don't have to manually, step-by-step, create these test cases. Very nice feature to have. So we'll get into a demo later. I just wanted to briefly go through the steps and show you some screenshots. This will be covered later in the demo. We'll take maybe 10 minutes now to go through this, and then the demo is probably another 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll answer some questions. So step one is to install the plugin, the Selenium Builder plugin for Firefox. So we install Firefox, then we install the plugin. It's actually called an add-on for Firefox. You can search for it in the Firefox store, Mozilla store, or you can do a quick Google search. It'll pop right up. The way we launch it is we click on Developer and launch Selenium Builder. So this is the add-ons page. We click down here, Add to Firefox. Really pretty easy. Next step is to install the AppTest plugin for Selenium. So again, a plugin for a plugin. The DevTest plugin, the AppTest plugin for Selenium, the binary is installed when you install DevTest. So it's already available on your machine. All you have to do is copy it over into the Firefox profile page. So it's a copy-paste. It's really just about locating where it is. So you navigate to CA DevTest add-ons, SE Builder plugin. This is really your Lisa home directory, add-ons, Selenium Builder plugin directory. Copy the Lisa directory that's in there, and you'll paste it into your Firefox profile directory, and we'll show you how to do that. Once we do that, we'll run it just to make sure it's working. And you'll see a CA AppTest for Selenium Builder 1.0 plugin installed. That's how you verify, okay? This is the fun part. Now we're creating the recording. To create the recording, we use Selenium Builder, the plugin for Firefox. So just as you saw before, we launched the Selenium Builder plugin. We click the record button, circle with the .NET like we're all familiar with from PCR days, and we perform some actions. And it will record the action step by step, and you'll see it being recorded. And very easy to do, very useful to record those transactions as they're being done and then import them into DevTest. So we go to Developer, launch Selenium Builder, and then we'll see a pop-up for the window, and you'll have your address and you'll click Record. So this is our forward cars demo application. It automatically detects the URL. We play around with a few transactions. Here we're looking up a car that we're interested in purchasing, and then we click Stop Recording. Once we do that, we'll export it. So very straightforward. It's File Export. The thing to know here is we're saving it as a JSON file, and we'll use that to import it into DevTest. So File, Export, Save as JSON. Very straightforward. To import the recording, very similar. What we'll do first is we'll create a new test case. Then we'll add the special Selenium steps, really a import-export. You can add it as a script, you can add it as a step, or you can use a file to import-export it. So as you see here, we create a new test case. We've got our blank test case. We're going to right-click in the blank space or click the plus sign. Go down to Selenium, Selenium import-export. It'll ask us to select a file and confirm that it imported successfully. So once we have the test steps recorded, this is where we get into DevTest and really the value of DevTest. So we've recorded our test case, our transactions. Now we want to edit them so we don't have to record them all over again. So maybe we record all of the steps and then we go in and we split it up, or we forgot something or we want to click on a different button. This is where we can add some value and modify the tests in DevTest. We can use a script to modify them. We can use a UI XPath editor as well, which is very nice if you want to maybe change a button around or something like that. You can also add certain transactions that Selenium supports. There's get, there's a go back, there's data input fields, there's clicks. You can add those as well if maybe they're missing or you want to edit the test cases. This is pretty nice. What we do is we select the Selenium step. This is really context sensitive. So on the right-hand side, we have this menu. We'll expand the Selenium step, and when we do that, we'll see on the top section is the script. Below that, we'll see the, really this is the click element on this one, because we're clicking on a button, and we'll see a locator. And when we click on the locator, it'll open up this XPath editor, which makes it easier to manipulate. So here it's showing we're clicking on this Vin button here. Not sure if you can see that too well. We'll see that in the demo. And you can change that to another click. So this is how you would edit the test cases. Okay. Now we recorded it in Firefox because that's what Selenium supports. But what if you want to play it back in Chrome, Safari, or IE, for example? And that's really a key use case for using Selenium and this cross-browser functionality testing, or maybe regression testing. So to do that, we go to DevTest and we edit the config file. And it's a project configuration file. We're going to add two properties. One is called for the location of the Chrome driver or the IE driver, really the web driver. In this case, it's Chrome. And the other one is telling you which browser to use. So you can specify any of those four browsers. By default, we will always use Firefox. But if you want to change that, you'll specify Chrome, IE, or Safari. And of course, the driver. Drivers are easy to find. You can Google them. Here we're showing you the Chrome driver. Google has a chromium.org website. You just click on Chrome driver, download it. Really pretty straightforward. And here we're editing the project config file, adding those two properties, okay? We'll see that later as well. Great, so now you've recorded, you've imported, you've edited. Now this is it. Now you're going to run the test. how do you run it? Well, save everything, right? And then we're going to run an ITR. And what's nice about this is we're going to see the test get executed step by step. We're going to see DevTest walk through the transactions. Okay, so we're going to click the ITR. It's a gear icon. If you're familiar with DevTest or AppTest, you click the play button, and it walks you through screen by screen. So you click the ITR button, and you'll see in the middle it generates these steps. On the right-hand side, you get the response. So on the left here, we have our browser. In this case, it's Chrome. This will change based on what action is being performed. In the middle, we have our list of steps. First, it loads a page, and then just a verify. And we've got to go back. We've got an inventory search. We've got clicking, entering some data. And on the right-hand side, you see the response. So this is DevTest. And then just some things to remember. These are some gotchas, if you will. The installation for Selenium, that's a plugin for Firefox. The installation for the AppTest plugin, it's really a plugin for a plugin, just to keep that in mind. Browser support, we've got Firefox, Chrome, Safari, and IE. You can only record in Firefox. Some things with Selenium, just to look out for. This is open source software. Anything open source inherently has some issues here and there. Just some things we've run into that you might want to watch out for. Assert versus verify. You can look this up too. There's plenty of documentation available. But assert versus verify. Verify will fail at the end of a test. Assert will stop midway. Good to know that. Click versus click and wait. Sometimes you get a timeout if you use click. So we like to use click and wait and specify a timeout. Steps and scripts, we'll see this too. In DevTest, you can add steps, and you can see each action as it's performed. You can edit it very nicely, cleanly. But if you have, maybe you have 50 steps, what you can do is use scripts instead. It'll consolidate them. Visually, it's less to manage, okay? So it's a little bit easier to see that way, maybe. And you can also change the inputs with the CSV file. Maybe you want to do a different VIN lookup in our example, and you have 100 different VINs. We can use a CSV file. We don't have to record every single one of those or edit them in DevTest even. Very nice that we can do that. There's also some issues that are known. Switching to frames, use multi-window, the script playback in different browsers. You need the drivers. Don't forget that. And sometimes the recording doesn't start. You have to disable and re-enable the plugin. Just a few things here and there you want to watch out for. All right, so that's pretty much it. What we want to do now is give you a brief demo. So let me go ahead and share my desktop. And Melanie, can you see it should be blank right now, but I'm going to open up.
Yeah, I'm just seeing a blank blue screen.
Okay, so let me open up some things for you.
At this point, I just want to remind everyone, if you have any questions, you can put it into the Q&A box at the bottom right-hand corner, and then at the end, we'll open it up for verbal questions. So if anything comes up as Daniel is going through, just go ahead and type it in the box at the bottom right-hand corner.
Okay, so step one, install Firefox. Okay, pretty straightforward. Once you install Firefox, like we said before, this is going to be a repeat of the slides, okay? A little easier to see when it's an actual demo, though. So what we'll do, we'll install Firefox, download it from Firefox, right, from Mozilla. Now we'll add the plugin. Just do a quick search. The plugin will come up. You're going to click Add to Firefox. You'll have to reload it, no problem. Okay. So now I should have my plugin. We'll just double check. I'll go up here to the menu. I'll go down to Developer Tools. And when I click on that, I'll have a list of available tools, and we'll see Selenium towards the bottom of the list. and we'll open that up. And this is Selenium Builder, just a small window, a couple different options. You've got open an existing script. You can manage your plugins. Right now we don't have the AppTest plugin installed. We'll do that in a sec. It'll tell you the URL to start the recording, and then you just got a record button. Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll install AppTest. Okay. So what I need to do for that is I need to go to my Lisa home directory. If you're using Windows machine, it's going to be C program files CA DevTest, and then you'll navigate to add-ons, SE Builder plugin, and this is by default. This is installed with DevTest, and I'll copy this Lisa directory. Okay. Now where does this go? Well, this is going to go to the Firefox profiles directory. Again, this is a plugin for a plugin, so it's going to go into the Selenium Builder plugin directory. How do we find that? Well, we'll go up here. We'll open the menu. There's a help or about icon, usually a question mark, right? And we're going to open that up. When we open that up, we have a list of options. We're going to go to troubleshooting information. When we click on that, we've got kind of a hidden thing. You've seen this in Firefox and Chrome maybe, but we're looking here for the profile folder. Okay, lots of information. The only thing we're looking for is our profiles folder. We have that open up, and now we're going to look for the Selenium Builder plugin directory, which is right here. Okay, I'm going to open that up. We're going to go to plugins. Remember, this is a plugin for a plugin. And I'm going to paste the Lisa directory here. And that's how you install the plugin. Now to verify that it's installed, I'll go up here. Again, I'll go to Developer Tools, and I'll launch Selenium Builder. This time when I go to Manage Plugins, I'll see the AppTest plugin. So now we're ready to record test cases using Selenium, export them and import them into DevTest. Okay. That's the installation part. So now what we'll do is we'll go to our demo. Just refresh it. If you're familiar with DevTest, it comes with an optional package with two demos. One is a bank application, an ATM, a kiosk called Lisa Bank. And the other one is called Forward Cars, or Cars Demo, or Cars App. And this is really a car buying website. You can apply for a loan, do a VIN lookup, and it's really just to generate transactions is the goal. Okay. So let's just restart this real quick. Okay, we'll open it again, and we'll navigate to our Cars app. When I open Selenium Builder, it'll automatically detect the URL, and I can start recording some transactions. Okay. First thing you're going to see is a get. After that, I can do things like maybe an inventory search. Okay. And you'll see there's a click. Maybe we'll look for, go for a BMW. Maybe we'll go for a nice 7 series. It'll tell you some information about it, the color, the trim, the engine, automatic transmission. Do a VIN lookup, maybe see if it was involved in any crashes or anything like that. And we'll get some data. Okay, very basic kind of stuff. And while I was doing that, we recorded each step. So I did a lot of clicks. You can also do a verify, you can do go back. There's lots of different operations you can do with Selenium. But this is good enough for our purposes. So I'm going to stop the recording. And after that, I'm going to export it. Go to File, Export. I'm going to save it as a JSON. That's the format we're going to use for DevTest. And let's call it, give it a name. I like to make it consistent, so I'll use Selenium. I'll do something like cars, VIN. Okay. Really doesn't matter, up to you. If you have a standard naming convention you want to use, that's great. If you're just playing around like we are right here, you can really name it whatever you want to do. So we exported the recording. What we want to do now is import it. So I'm going to open up DevTest. This is Workstation, okay? So now I need to create a new test case. So I'll go up here to Tests, to create new test case. Standard if you're familiar with AppTest. I've got to give it a name, so again I'll call it Selenium. Maybe we'll call it cars, demo, VIN, whatever you want to call it. I've got a blank test case. I can add steps to it now. I can, lots of different step types for us for Selenium steps, and we've already got the JSON script, right? So why not use that? We can click the plus sign up here, or we can right-click and do Add Step. The key here is to go down to Selenium, Selenium Import Export. This is the part you're looking for, okay? So you create a new test case, and you're going to add the Selenium steps, the import export file, the JSON file that you have. When you click on that, it'll ask you for a location. Where's the file? So we'll browse. This looks like it, 001. Okay. Oh. Save it as JSON sweep. Got another file. Let's try. Let's try that again from Selenium. File, export JSON. DevTest example Selenium. Cars demo 1. Do our import. That's weird, that's why. So I've got a directory where I've got some temp data that we use. If we have our original, here's our original one. Just a location issue. Okay, so now it's going to tell me what I'm importing. I'm importing them as Selenium steps. These are my actions. I'm going to do build. And tell me it was imported successfully. Good. Now we know what a good import and a bad export looks like. Okay. Now what can I do? Well, I only recorded a few steps. Maybe I want to add some steps. I forgot to record something. Maybe I want to change something instead of BMW. Maybe we want to click on a different option. So I'll go over here to the right. If you missed that, I'll go over here to the right, and there's the Selenium steps. This is context sensitive depending on the step types and what kind of test cases you're running. There's a AppTest and DevTest, so there's a lot of information around here. What I'll do is I'll come in here. I can navigate around. I can modify instead of BMW. We can change this to what do we have? Audi, if we want an alternative way. I can do that in line here. An alternative way to do that is to use the locator. Right? So we've got a click here, we've got a BMW. What I'll do is I'll click on this, we'll get the XPath editor, and instead of clicking on the BMW, I'll click on whatever it is, Audi, right? And we'll select that one, okay? And then you've got your default action. Again, this is all AppTest, nothing to do with Selenium specifically. This is specific to testing. So we can fail the test, whatever actions we want to perform, okay? I can do that for each one. So let's take one that we've modified. Let's open this one. This one's got some nice things. We renamed the steps to be more descriptive. So this is a load, this is a get. You'll see if I open this as a get, we've got to verify. Verify that certain text is present. And here it's looking for forward cars, okay? Here we've got an inventory search. Here we're looking for a BMW. We did a go back. Here we went Audi, changed it to Audi. We went to 2008. We did a VIN lookup, and we entered a VIN. We verified the VIN, and we changed some VIN, and we edited some new values. And we did just an output or a log message at the end, okay? So we've gone ahead. We've made our changes, our edits to the recording. We've added some details to it. We've changed some of the actions around. We've added new steps. Now we're going to run it. Before we run it, we want to make sure that we change the browser because we want to use Chrome or IE. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some new properties. So if I go down here to configs, this is my default projects file. This is my active one. Okay. If you're using a different one, you'll just click on that one and make that one active and edit the properties for here. So these are key value pairs. This is how they work. There's a key, an identifier, and a value. To add a new one, you click down here on the plus sign. We're going to add a new value. For us, we've got something called Selenium browser type. Okay. And the value can be Safari, Chrome, IE, or Firefox. Let's do Chrome. That'll tell us which browser we want to run the test in. I also need to specify where the driver is. So I'm going to give the path to the driver. Previously, I downloaded the Chrome driver. So what I can show you is I have it saved here in DevTest add-on SE Builder plugin. It'll usually go to your downloads folder. You can put it wherever you want here for keep everything together. I like to have it here. So this is in Program Files, CA, DevTest add-on, Selenium Builder plugin. Okay. So we'll copy that, put that in here. Now I've told it what browser to use and where the driver is. You can do that for IE and Safari as well. By default, Firefox, you don't need to do that. So let's save this. We've saved the test cases, saved the project configs and everything. We're good to go. We're going to run the test. Okay. We'll run this modified test. Shows you a little bit more actions. Kind of nice to see the way it goes through everything step by step. You can see the actions being performed. You can see the response. Pretty nice. So we'll run it as an ITR. It's a great way to see what's going on. If you're doing this as a regression, you probably don't want to sit in front of it and see it go step by step. So you can just stage the test. Again, standard kind of AppTest or DevTest test method. But let's see what the ITR looks like. I'll open this up. Just expand this a little bit so we can see it better. Okay, so let's run it. We'll go down here to run, and we'll execute the test step by step. We'll have it go start to finish. Okay, so I'm going to run it, and what will happen is we'll get a pop-up box, and we'll see it go through all of the actions. It's doing a bunch of clicks. It's doing go back. Now it's going to go, I think we changed it to Audi, right? They'll do a VIN lookup. What we've done here is we've looked up the standard VIN, and now we're going to change it. We're going to enter in some new data, do a different VIN lookup, and we'll run that. And then we've just got an output message. This could be really anything you want it to be. And it says our test is complete. And we end the test. It looks like nothing failed. And that's pretty much it. So we've run the test in the ITR mode. We saw it go through step by step. We saw it execute each of the steps. And this is the response on the right that you'll see. You'll see it get here. We've got a 2T as our VIN. Here's got the 3N as the VIN, okay? Here's our go back. It's our filters for our BMW. And again, if we want to modify something, we can click on the step. We can go to Selenium step, and we can change it. Here's a click element. Got some things such as get, send keys, or set a value. Got double click, go back, switch to window or switch to frame if you have pop-ups, maybe a confirmation dialog box, anything like that. These are standard Selenium actions that you can use in DevTest. And again, or you can edit them up here. Same thing with the locator. You can open the XPath editor and change where you're clicking. You can change the button. Nice to have that. Thanks to the mobile team for that. You've got a screenshot. This screenshot's kind of a point-in-time screenshot. It's meant more as a reference than an actual operational screenshot, because there are a lot of operations that can happen. Just keep that in mind. And then down here, you'll fail the test, or you'll continue. You'll accept, you'll ignore the alert box, whatever it is. And standard kind of test functions. And when it fails, what do you want to do? Do you want to abort? Do you want to go somewhere else? So this is just a basic example to show you really how to install and start using the Selenium plugin. And that's about all we have. Just a few more things to remember. We'll go over those real quick. The installation, it's a plugin for a plugin. Don't get confused by that. It's really simple. Once you install it, really nothing you have to change. Different browser support. Install the drivers for other browsers. Using Selenium, there's a few gotchas that you might run into. There's a few issues. Assert versus verify. You've got click versus click and wait. Okay. You've got steps versus scripts. These are steps. A script will just look as one of these steps, and it'll contain all of them. And you've got things like switching to frames or playback issues, maybe in a different browser. You need the driver installed. So just some things to watch out for. Other than that, I think we can stop here and take some questions.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. So we have one question in from Monica, but I believe that's being answered right now. We had another question from Christian. Does Selenium now record with the latest version of Firefox?
Sure. So these are Selenium, integration issues really more than DevTest. But when you're using Selenium with Firefox, what you want to do is use version, I think it's 43 to 45. Here we go. So version 43 to 45, that's the one you want to use. Those are supported. And the Builder, Selenium Builder plugin, it should be version 309. And our AppTest plugin for Selenium Builder is version 1. Are there other questions?
I have quite a few. Okay, so we have another question from Christian. If you want to run stage and run a Selenium test on a remote coordinator server that is not on your local machine, what do you need to do to set up Selenium on the remote server?
So now is probably a good time to show you actually the documentation. So what I can do is bring you to So this is our documentation repository for DevTest. This contains all sorts of, really our user guides, maybe our getting started guide, things like that. But anything you want to look for here for Selenium, just do a quick search. We'll see what pops up. We've got a whole section down here. This is docops.ca.com. And you can log in. This is also how you get to download the software and request support tickets. Same login information. You don't have to log in though. So this is showing us how to run Selenium. This is running it in a local browser or remote browser. The steps are right here to run it in a local browser. You've got it here. It's telling you these are the key value pairs that we entered in before. To run it in a remote browser, we go down here, and you'll see these are the steps right here. These are the commands that you need. Okay.
Okay. We also have a question from Prashant. Can we integrate DevTest with an already existing Selenium script in an automation framework?
Can you say that again?
Can we integrate DevTest with an already existing Selenium script in an automation framework?
Yeah, so we support Selenium Builder. It's not the same as the Selenium IDE. They are different. Selenium Builder is really the plugin, the Firefox plugin. That's what we're talking about here. And when we save it, we're saving it as a JSON. As long as you have the JSON format, you should be good. The problem is when you record it, we're also recording because we have a plugin for Selenium Builder, right? We have the AppTest plugin for Selenium Builder. We're also recording things like screenshots. So you won't get that. You'll lose some of the functionality.
Okay. Any other questions? Just a reminder, if you have a verbal question you'd like to ask, you can click #6 on your telephone keypad to unmute yourself and ask a verbal question. So we'll continue answering questions in the Q&A box, and if you have any verbal questions, please chime in. We had another question in from Christian. To run in different browsers, you would need to create an alternate config for each browser pointing to the different drivers. Is that correct?
Yes, so what you can do is, let's show here. What I would do is open up my project file, and I would have to specify a new properties, and I would create separate ones for really each browser. You can do that pretty easily. You can also set up the tests to run. You don't have to run them in the ITR mode, right? So it'll be a silent run. So that's good to know.
Okay. Some more questions coming in here. If I am understanding correctly, you need a previous version of Firefox to record the case, but if you want to test it in the latest Firefox, you would need to have another install of Firefox. Does this cause conflicts?
So we used, I believe we used the latest version. Let's see. We're on 47. This should be, Firefox is up to date. This should be okay, right? So that's not an issue. I'm sure additional support will come out. You really shouldn't see any problems. I would definitely just have one install, though, one version of Firefox. And if you're running a test specifically for these browsers, you probably want to have a machine with just the browser installed. Probably want to have separate project config files. Keep everything isolated, maybe by browser, kind of as a best practice. That would make it easier to manage the tests. But this is all how you do it in DevTest. really what's easier for you or your organization.
Okay. We have another question that just came in. Can we run the test on multiple browsers in parallel?
Yeah, so that's using different coordinators, different simulators. You can execute the tests on different machines, yeah.
Okay, looks like we're all caught up. We'll pause for just another minute or two for any other questions that will come in. In the meantime, I am going to launch a poll that will ask you guys to rate the quality of today's webcast topic. We really value your input on this, and we take your feedback in order to schedule future webcasts. So if you could take a second to please vote on what you thought of today's topic, that would be really helpful. Give it one more second for any other questions that come in the meantime.
And I'm going to give you guys my email address. If you have any other questions or if you didn't get answers, if you're not able to find responses to anything you need, definitely check out the communities. A lot of these questions have been asked before. You're not the first people to run into these issues or these questions. If you go to, let's open it up again here, we probably have it running, communities.ca.com. Melanie's pretty active there. You can log in and you can join the CA Service Virtualization, CA AppTest pages, lots of different posts. This and also the documentation, docops.ca.com. Definitely check those out. And if for whatever reason you're not able to get that information, shoot me an email, daniel.mazzei@ca.com. All right, we'll do our best to try and update this presentation as questions come in. We can do additional demos, things like that. Definitely want to try to get some feedback and see how we can improve some of these plugins. We're very proud of our third-party support, and this is really just one of them.
Okay, great. So with that, I guess we're going to close out for today. Thank you so much, Daniel, for the presentation. It was great to have both the presentation and the demo. I think it was really helpful for everyone on the line. And thank you, everyone, for joining today. If you're at all interested, we have a webcast coming up next week on TDM Portal, so check that out on the community homepage. And if you have any questions after this session, as Daniel said, please feel free to sign on to the communities and ask, or you can feel free to reach out to any of us personally. Thank you again for joining, and we hope to see you on the next webcast. Have a great day, everyone.